I'm Theodora Gunter, better known as Teddy, and I'm here with the one and only Dr. Rudi from Dr-Rudi.com. And we're here today to talk about an interesting topic that has to do with oils, and specifically edible oils. There's so many options of different types of edible oils, and I'm happy to have an expert here. What's the healthiest type of edible oil?
Well, first let me say that this discussion that we're having is really an update on a video I did with Dr. Joe Mercola, about 3 years ago. And since that time, I keep educating myself and I keep learning more. And I now know more about edible oils than before. But let me say a couple of things right up front. One is, never put a polyunsaturated oil on your skin. Don't let people tell you that chia oil, flax oil, or any sort of polyunsaturated oil is good for your skin. It'll turn your skin into leather and varnish.
Is that something that's on the label of things that we could see and avoid? Is it written that way,
Yeah, well, whenever a new seed comes out, as far as discovered in the Amazon, Sasha Inchi would be an example of that. People try to put it into cosmetics. That is really stupid. Okay, and I'm very interested in this because the company I work for makes extracts oils using supercritical CO2. But just because an oil can be used as a supplement doesn't mean it's good for your skin if you put it on your skin. It may be good for your skin if you eat it, or consume it, but putting a polyunsaturated oil on your skin, what we call drying oils, Sasha Inchi, flax, chia,
that's exactly
perilla,
what I wanted to know, and
all
I thought
those
our viewers
things.
would want to know.
And if you see those on a label in a cosmetic product or a soap or cream, avoid. It's really dangerous. It'll make you age faster.
And that's the opposite of why we're using beauty products, so that's something
right.
that we would not want.
Now, as far as edible oils, we have several classifications, and there's a lot of misleading things about those. First of all, in the 1920s and 30s, they started to develop seed oils, corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil. At the time it was called rapeseed oil, now it's called canola oil.
They all sound harmless, but
for obvious
they sound
reasons.
pretty and harmless, safflower oil and sunflower oil, but that's not true, that they're...
Well, you do need, the human being needs both ALA omega-3 as a necessary and essential fatty acid, but in moderate amounts. And you do need omega-6 in your body at reasonable amounts. And usually you would like to have the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 in your body at about 4 to 10 to 1. Okay? And so it could be 4 omega-6s to 1 omega-3 ALA, or up to 10 to 1. And the problem is processed food, everything you eat, bread, usually has omega-6 in it, so believe me, you're getting plenty of omega-6. It's the omega-3 ALA that we don't have enough of in our diet.
Oh, I see.
And so that should be consumed, in my opinion, in the form of a supplement, because flax oil, chia oil, perilla oil, if you put them in a bottle, you get any oxygen in there, they're unstable, they'll start going rancid. So I recommend a good supplier of those oils as far as supplements. And my recommendation, the United States government says you should have a minimum of 1.6 grams a day of ALA, omega-3. And I'm telling you, you don't want to take more than 5 grams a day, because eating too much of an unsaturated oil can be very unhealthy because it can form rancid fats in your body. So having said that, what kind of edible oils should we cook with? What kind of edible oil should we consume?
I think that's something we all would love to know.
Okay, so all the food you're eating, all the processed food you're eating has got a lot of omega-6 in it. So that's one to avoid as a salad oil. So for salad oil, I recommend non-exotic olive oil.
Really?
Exotic olive oil, which is green, the so-called first press oil, is fairly unstable, And if you don't plan on using it quickly and getting rid of it, basically, just buy small bottles of it. It has a nice taste. I love the taste of exotic olive oil. But the safest olive oil are the cheap ones like Bertolli Light, okay? Because there's no chlorophyll in them, they don't go rancid quickly. And if you want to see if your olive oil is going to be stable and not rancid, I always recommend to people you take a astaxanthin capsule, put a pinhole in it, drop 1 drop of astaxanthin into your olive oil, it'll turn red. If it's no longer red, throw it away.
Oh wow.
Astaxanthin is an indicator of oxidation. Okay, so in salad oil, I recommend olive oil. Also, another oil that can be used in salads is grapeseed oil. It's a very stable oil. It's a very healthy oil, has a lot of antioxidants in it. Other than that, no sunflower oil, no safflower oil, no corn oil, no canola.
All the things that sound pretty are the ones to definitely not. That's ironic, but it's good to know.
And the reason why these oils were even created was because industry figured out a cheap way of making them by cold pressing seeds to get these oils. And it's really not cold pressing, it's actually a very harsh process, and then there's a chemical reaction that takes place that can clean them up even more. So that's salad oil. Now, salad oils are not necessarily good cooking oils.
I see, because once you heat them up,
Before I get started on cooking oil, in an American diet, the FDA and the Institute of Health, Institute of Medicine had years ago pushed us away from palm oil, pushed us away from coconut oil.
Which are now coming back into the spotlight.
Well, because they're very safe and they're very necessary, actually. Saturated oils, humans need saturated oils in their diet, including, if you're not a vegetarian, lard, beef tallow. Those are saturated oils. They're
surprising
very stable.
that we need them, and because they're always are.
If you're a vegetarian, the way to get saturated oils is palm oil or coconut oil. But coconut oil has some taste, so some people might not like it. I happen to like it very much. So you need some saturated oils in your diet, much more than the government has told you about. And finally, they're starting to realize that. The next thing would be oils that have some unsaturation. That means double bonds. They're less stable. Some of them have very low smoking points. Smoking points is you heat a pan to a certain temperature, you put a drop of oil in it. If it turns into smoke, you don't want to cook with it because...
Oh wow, that's good to know, and that's easy to decide.
That's decomposing oil. So the best oil to cook with is butter and olive oil. What I do is I don't get a pan super hot when I want to cook an egg, or I want to cook a steak or tofu or whatever in a pan. I'll put some, I'll wait till the very last minute to put the olive oil in the pan because it will start to smoke. But of course, once you put whatever you want to cook into that pan, that cools it down. And I put in a little butter for flavor. And that's the best way to cook things. Now, if you're going to higher temperatures, like you're going to do deep fried, and you're going to do high temperature induced type things, then you want to use oil like peanut oil, which is mostly an omega-9 oil, and it has a very high smoking point.
And you see that in restaurants when they're cooking. You see all the smoke. It's part of the whole shebang. And
but the smoky oils
is the ones that are not healthy.
They're unstable. But peanut oil is a good oil to fry with. Of course, grapeseed oil would be a good one, but most people can't afford spending the money on grapeseed oil.
Is it, that's something that sounds exotic, is grapeseed oil, you said?
Yeah, it's made, when they make wine, the seeds are a byproduct, and so they're filtered out, and then they're dried, and then they're crushed with a expeller pressing process. But grapeseed oil is very stable, has a lot of antioxidants in it, but it's probably too expensive for most people to cook with. The other oil you can cook with is palm oil, and you fry with, and it's a relatively inexpensive oil, or I like coconut oil. Now,
are they accessible? Are they easy to find, palm oil and in coconut oil?
In your local grocery store, no. You can find peanut oil. Not everybody carries peanut oil. Palm oil is harder to find, but you can find it on the internet. I'm sure Amazon sells it.
Thank goodness for the internet. You can find anything with the click of a button. So at least
Right.
you know that you can track these down online easier than probably going from store to store.
Coconut oil is also mostly online. But you know, the other thing that we found out was that vegans and vegetarians have a much higher heart attack rate or mortality from heart attacks and strokes than people that eat some meat.
That's so surprising because you always think of vegetarians as healthier, live longer, and they're doing things right.
Well, vegans and vegetarians have less other diseases. They have less diabetes, they have less joint issues usually. But what was found was that vegans and vegetarians, since they don't consume saturated fats to a great extent, not unless they're eating coconut oil and palm oil, they often have sunflower oil or canola oil or oils that are polyunsaturated in their diet. These cause chronic low-level inflammation in your body. You can measure it by measuring C-reactive protein in your blood. If you have very high C-reactive protein, you're going to have a heart attack. And so I highly recommend to vegans and vegetarians to eat more saturated fats. And you're not going to get it from animal sources, but people that eat meat, they can get it from animal sources. Tallow is okay for you. It's very stable. It's also been found that they're essential for your body. If you don't have saturated fats in your body, you're not going to be healthy. Too much polyunsaturated oils are definitely cause inflammation.
And inflammation is dangerous because it causes cardiovascular issues,
inflammation will cause the lining of your blood vessels to be inflamed, and then fat deposits, and then oxidation. Inflammation may even play a role in Alzheimer's. Inflammation plays a role in osteoarthritis and that sort of thing. And we went, the whole society, including me, went way too far in the direction of polyunsaturated oils and not enough in really thinking about the inflammation that's being caused and the benefits of saturated fats.
So I've never tried coconut oil, I've never tried palm oil, but now I want to try both of those and experiment with them. And I think that's a good thing for everybody to just get out there and experiment with these different oils that are good for us and use more olive oil.
Olive oil.
So that was great talking to you about this today, and it's always exciting to learn and informative when you talk to Dr. Rudi. And I just want to say it was great. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Dr-Rudi.com with an exciting new topic.